And welcome to BCB Live. We're just having a great conversation. A lot of building up going on here. Drive safe, Dave. Talk to me because you're my Washington guy here. First of all, we have the Biden or the U.S. We're saying, hey, you know what? For the Winter Olympics, we're not sending our diplomats.
We're not sending the diplomats. For us, usually Americans, we don't care. We didn't even know you sent
Who
diplomats.
watches it anyway? I mean, and you know what? Hey, here we go. Hey, you know what? It's COVID. You shouldn't probably go over there anyway right now.
Where there's 1.3 billion people? Yeah, okay.
So I'm just saying, drive safe, Dave. Is that really a statement? What does that even mean?
Well, I know at least the athletes get to play, but, you know, in the Chinese culture, it's a little bit more of a deal when the officials don't meet and they do all this thing. It's a little bit different type deal. They're offended, by the way, and they said there would be repercussions of a great sort or something like that in their statement because the United States has insulted them in some way.
Yeah, I mean, I get it, right? And so what are your thoughts on that? Do you agree? You disagree? Is that a strong statement, or is that, again, I'm going with,
if you don't hit them with cash or you don't hit them with troops, you're not hitting them at all. I'm just saying, you got to hit them one other way. And we're probably not hitting them with troops.
And I get it, too, right? Because I think they also say with that comes the allies of the United States probably not going as well, if that's
NATO,
the case.
Yeah, NATO, yeah.
Again, it's the Winter Olympics. If this just in, I don't think U.S. really cares about the Winter Olympics.
No one can even name one of the officials
Producer
can. Name an official.
I can't name an official this year, so.
Yeah,
exactly.
They don't want to go either.
Yeah, it's cold.
Hey, but also, drive safe, we talk about that. There's a lot of activity going on right now. We have the call today with Putin, and I think that China.
Oh, yeah,
they got some other things up their sleeve, too, right?
Yeah. You know what? I'm just going to say, what we don't, I get not being friends with Russia, and I get not being friends with China. What we don't want is we don't want Russia and China to be friends. That's
Speaking of which, though, did you see that Vladimir did say, I will be attending the Olympics?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, he put
Okay, yeah. It's a good media post for Putin because he likes to be on TV, by the way.
Well, he's already confirmed that, yes, he will. But again, I think Russia's done pretty well in the Winter Olympics. I think they live in winter 10 months out of the year,
yeah,
so
do.
I think they have an advantage over us.
Yeah, in the Urals, I don't think it ever defrosts in the Urals, so I think you're good.
But I will say, when we talking about winter, we did have our first winter up in Minnesota this weekend, and boy howdy, did we not do very well. So no fatalities. That's the good news.
Crashes.
No fatalities. 268 accidents, including, I think, 4 tractor trailers had a jackknifed inside of it as well. So a lot of activity. That is all up in Minnesota. And I want to say it was within a 12-hour
it was
period.
The first 18 hours of having snow on the road.
Snowfall and just rookie snow. Everybody gets out for the first time and realizes, oh, it's a little slippery.
And that's in Minnesota. All right?
Yeah.
That's Minnesota. So if that happens in Minnesota, we want to encourage you, the safety directors, especially if you're based out of Texas, Florida, and you have any snow, shut that fleet down because it will get nuts out there. And drive safe, we've talked about it here many times. It's not just the driver, it's all of the other people on the road as well.
Yeah, and everybody forgets. It's just like even when here in Texas, even when it rains, we forget how to slow down and we forget how to be careful. And then you put snow on the ground, you create a little bit slippery and darker conditions. Then you create this environment in which everybody forgets that you have to slow down before you get to the stop sign, way before, because they tend to slide right through it, or they tend to slide right through the intersection of any kind, and it creates this dangerous environment. So yeah, slowing down is important.
Yeah, and drive safe. Let's just stick to truckers right now. After all, this is a trucking show. This is BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. I have a little quiz for you.
Uh-oh.
All right? When approaching a construction zone, okay, you're in a construction zone as a truck driver, which of the following acts is okay to do?
I know this.
Here we go. Number 1, lean out the cab door. Number 2, put a bat in your hand. Give somebody a piece of your mind. Tap on the roof with that bat, the tire checker. Smash the car window. Curse out the driver. or wear safety orange? Which of those should you do?
Wear safety orange.
You know what? And that's what happened in the land down under. You know what? So first of all, we have to make sure that we give this guy some credit. He had orange on. He was thinking safety was first, but it just didn't follow suit. Producer? Give him first his credit. He had his safety vest on.
Right, he did.
He was thinking safety when he left the yard. Probably did a good pre-trip, post-trip. Did everything he could possibly. And then came the traffic. Then came the construction zone. And if I remember right, that four-wheeler wasn't letting him in.
Okay, my question was that his tire thumper?
Yes. Yes. That's his tire thumper. And I think on that video, I think it was on TikTok or something,
Yeah.
they have All I Want for Christmas Is You, and it's like cheering it up, and it just shows a guy getting mad, yelling, thumping out that window. So many things gone wrong in the drive safe. Should any of that really happen when you get into a bad spot like that?
No, it shouldn't happen. Look, we've all been angry out there. We've all been mad, but let's not take it that far. Let's calm down. Let's relax. Let's take a deep breath. Let's not do any window smashing with your tire thumper.
But it does, so we got a few calls. Hold on.
Oh, no, I'm going to go out.
No, we had a few calls yesterday on Drive Safe Dave.
I've been almost there.
On Drive Safe Dave that went on his comments that said, you know
yeah.
what? I always pray for them
I didn't
first,
say always.
and I pray for me.
I didn't say always.
And boy, we got some feedback on that Drive
They called
Safe
bull.
Dave.
They called bull.
We had somebody that said, I just got off the call at that point, Drive Safe, saying, I found it most easy when I pray for him and then pray for myself.
Look, that was my mom. He said my mom's voice in the back of me and telling me what I should do. So I was giving you what I should do and what I've done, but it doesn't always work. I've almost been to that guy right there. I've almost been right there.
Have you ever done anything like that? Dude, this is pre-E-log. Everything's okay as long as it happened pre-E-log, So talk to us, Drive Safe.
Actually, I've gotten a fight in a truck stop before. We've both been on the CB and pulled and said, hey, let's go. Let's pull it up here at the let's help pull it up here.
No.
Oh,
Seriously?
Oh, yeah, there was a younger Dave. Not a wiser Dave, but a younger Dave.
This was before he became a prayerful Dave, in which we heard yesterday on that. Drive Safe, I got to hear about the story, but first, we've got to take a break. We'll be back in 60 seconds with BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. Welcome back to BCB Live, and if you're waiting for that fight story, it's not going to happen. BCB lost again. I think BCB's like 0-3 in fights. Anybody that watches BCB Live, we're lovers. We're safety folks. We're not fighters. And Drive Safe Dave, speaking of fighting and angry, what's the deal with the new TikToking going on? Smashing in doors?
Oh, the kicking in of the doors to a beat of a song, I think, is what it is. But I tell you what. You know what? This right here is borderline home invasion, right? Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that flies in Texas.
No, I don't think you don't do that in Texas.
You better be awfully quick. You better be awfully quick.
At my house, you better be quick.
And I'm not a TikToker, so I don't get that. Producer of one of the, TikTok famous guy. He's TikTok famous. Producer, have you found yourself kicking in any doors yet?
As somebody who doesn't have TikTok installed, no, I haven't been kicking in any doors. I will say this is among one of the crazier trends that seems to be popping up on TikTok lately. I think a couple months ago we had kids stealing entire water fountains from their classrooms, and now we have people riding on the backs of tractor trailers, kicking in doors. I think the next step here is, for TikTok, I sued my parents, and I took them to court. I really don't know what else to do.
There's craziness. Now, I will say this. This was before TikTok, you know. But I will tell you a prank that got done to our neighborhood one time is somebody or the kids. It was Christmas break, I think, and everybody woke up in the neighborhood, and everybody had everybody else's like their front ornaments. You know, if you had like what do they call like any decoration you had in your front yard, your neighbors or somebody down the road had it, and you had theirs. They went through and literally switched out all of those decorations, anything up front you had. So if you had an angel in front, it was in somebody else. If you had a deer, it was in somebody else's yard. They didn't steal anything. They just changed it around.
Yeah, they redecorated what you already had in the neighborhood. That seems like a lot of work. I'm just saying.
It does. I mean, back in my day, it was just ding dong ditch and ring the doorbell and take off.
Yep.
And hope and looking out the window, see if they catch you, if they're going to come out and chase you or anything. But that's all we did. And kids do that ding dong ditching today. They do that, and everybody has Ring. So it's not even. I mean, you don't get away with anything. They go and they look for the thing, they push it and run away. Meanwhile, you've already seen them. You know who it is. It's the kid next door.
Yeah, I'm not, and you don't go.
Yeah, you just don't go. It's no fun if nobody answers the door.
Yeah, oh no, there's nobody there. I'm out.
And then you call the parents the next day, and you get them in trouble. But you know what? Technology's changed, and it's changed. It's taken away a lot of the fun. But I'm going to encourage you, if you're thinking about becoming TikTok famous, if you want to do that download or you want to get TikTok, I encourage you not to kick indoors, not to do bad things.
No, don't
not to hit. If somebody cuts you off for construction, don't break their window, even if you're wearing a safety vest.
No, it still doesn't give you the right.
Doesn't make it right.
Doesn't make it right. Yeah,
gives you a lot of freedom, but doesn't make it right for certain. Hey, drive safe. We talked about the storm, and we're going to move back into COVID-ish kind of thing, right? We have. COVID's for real right now. It's going around, and we had a dentist that tried to get away again. People will do anything to get away from these shots. They don't want the vaccine, and the dentist is in big trouble. I think this is in Italy or something like that. When he goes in with a fake arm, a silicone arm, and the person giving the shot catches onto it pretty quick. It doesn't feel the same. Anybody that's had Stretch Armstrong knows that you're not going to fool somebody with that. Do you remember Stretch Armstrong?
Of course I remember.
And
Stretch
here it
Armstrong.
is. The dentist he walks in there, gives her his arm, and she's probably like saying, "Hey, what am I gonna? I'll be right back. Just take my arm with you. It will stretch. Just take it with you. I'll just sit here and you go walk around the office."
How does he think that a medical professional's not going to identify that that's not? Why would that it's not? Some kind of prosthesis out there. You can't pretty much do that. Get into the bloodstream. I don't know. How do you do that?
Yeah, I don't know. And I think
was it a joke or was he really?
No. He's got charges getting pressed against him. I think he's gonna face some kind of crime on that. You can't do that.
You can't fake. You can't come in with a prosthesis.
No, you can't. No, I think you just can't ask for the shot in it. I don't think you can come in there and just fake it. He had a real arm. He just managed to, I guess, hid the arm. I don't know what he did on that. It's a lot of work to not just get the shot. You know what? Just get the shot. Just do it, I guess, right? As Nike would say. Hey, drive safe. We'll be back in 60 seconds. BCB Live, the safest station in the nation.
Hi, this is David Dover, also known as Drive Safe Dave. You are watching BCB Live, the safest station in the nation.
Safety is what you want to talk about, and safety is what you want to be every single day. That's what we're here for. We're here to make it better.
The industry needs BCB Live so that it can find new and inventive ways to bring safety to the forefront for every single person out there on the road.
You got to be prepared to stop, and when you look at that and you understand the situation that you're in, you got to know that it's going to change. You got to expect it to change, and you can't run those lights.
You can watch BCB Live weekdays, 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. Central Standard Time. So what are you waiting for? Follow and subscribe to BCB Live today.
Drive safe, Dave. Some of these larger trucking companies, they just continue to get larger and larger, and that's kind of where I went with my Roman Empire thing that you're asking about earlier. I mean, you have now
the
the empire of Swift, Knight-Swift going out now and just purchasing another LTL company. Again, it's a $150 million acquisition. Nothing too crazy in the LTL market, but they just bought out AAA Cooper, not too long ago.
Yeah,
so they're making a big splash now in that LTL market.
Yeah, as you acquire a little and more, I mean, it starts to build up. And what is that? Midwest Motor Express? Is that who that is? LTL
Focuses something on them Dakotas, kind of that way. I never heard of them myself, but don't spend much time with the Dakotas in that Pacific Northwest either. But it goes to show that that a couple things that we believe that's going to happen is we're going to continue to see some acquisitions. And I think I would have thought we would have seen more acquisitions this year, but I do think it's something that's going to be that first part of next year into the middle part of the next year as companies have to acquire equipment, and that may be the only way to do that.
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion on that is that a lot of companies are seeing some genuine success right now, so they're actually not wanting to sell because it's really hard not to do well in this market, right?
Yeah, but I don't know, but you say that, but again, if you don't have drivers, which are a shortage of
Absolutely.
that, you don't have equipment, you can't do anything. You can have a piece of equipment with no driver in it, and it's not going to generate a lot of cash. It's just not going to. Yeah, it doesn't matter what the rates are.
Cost you.
But I do believe this, a larger trucking company that has, say, 300 trucks sitting right now. Well, the advantage they have in this market right now is all they're after are your drivers, the trucking company's drivers. I don't want your trucks. And you have two options. Number one, you can sell them and make a lot of money, or I'll take them on and sell them too. So it's a great point to be a buyer in this, because if you have a lot of trucks sitting, you go out there and you buy this trucking company that has, 300 used trucks. You don't want that equipment. You, the seller of that company, you're going to go to the market all day. It's the best used truck market there's ever been.
Absolutely.
So you will sell your equipment, give them your drivers, sell them your drivers, whatever you call that, and then all of a sudden now they have a full fleet. And what happens next? You have all the customers that this other company had. That's the weird part, because, company A, these larger companies, they're probably going to use your drivers that we just bought, this other company's drivers, to satisfy their customers' needs first.
Absolutely.
And now those smaller customers, they don't get that love, or it becomes a brokered load now, right?
Yep.
When they said we don't want our freight brokered, all of a sudden now that larger company that did the buyout, well, they're going to start brokering your load out, and rates are going to continue to go up. We spoke about it yesterday. Boy, rates are just nuts. We saw the rates in the warehouse. We said yesterday that anything 5-year term ending right now, that's a 25% increase going on to that. It's going to be the new cost. If you had a lease that just expires this year, expect a 25% increase. When you talk about housing, when you talk about rental property, if we just talk about Dallas, on the way in there, I heard that 16% is the price over last year for a one-bedroom apartment in Dallas. $1,400 is the new cost for a one-bedroom. That's insane. That's a lot of money, Drive Safe.
That's a lot of
And
cash.
the answer used to be, well, just go buy a house. Well, you can't, and they cost a lot more too.
And they know that. So they understand that. So you can't just buy a house.
So again, the market, the inflation, we do talk about that. It's real, it's there, and I think there was some news on the inflation. I didn't read that story yet, but I think they're finally. I think we're all using that word a little bit more now, right? I mean, we admit that inflation's real. It wasn't but 2 months ago that we said it wasn't. Nobody, we don't want to use that word. We'll use it. It's real. And when you see these long-term rate increases going in for apartments, for housing, for warehousing, for tractors, for trailers, I don't know what to say other than pricing is going to have to go up.
It has to, and because the value of the dollar is decreased on every percentage point that inflation goes. So that dollar doesn't go as far.
You know what? In that stock market, I'm not a big stock market player at all, but it is crazy. I mean, so the new variant, the
Omicron.
Omicron. Yeah. So
that Greek lord of.
So the Omicron has made that stock market go just up and down. It's almost like that game where you just hit there you go, right there.
Whack-a-mole.
It's just whack-a-mole. It's just like whack-a-mole right now. It goes up, it goes down. It was last week on a Friday, 2 Fridays ago, it just got announced, and the market just took a crash. Then Monday, everything seemed better, so it went up. Then it went down again, and then it went up again, and then now all of a sudden now, well, we think it's a pretty mild. We believe
Omicron's mild.
just jumped up yesterday, and the futures today continue to jump up. Even your thing, your Bitcoin, right, that we know nothing about, our favorite currency, though, over in El Salvador, it went back over the 50,000 mark, and it had dropped down to 46,000, 44,000.
So they're being released now that the symptoms and conditions of the variant Omicron are much less and not as lethal, and the Delta variant
It's been around 8 days, and they know this already.
That's what they're saying.
Absolutely amazing until tomorrow's story when it comes out,
it's
and then the
most
market
lethal.
will go back. Yes, it'll say something on that. Drive Safe, talk to me a little bit about the shirt today.
The shirt today, it's a sign that usually is posted between the tracks, and so that, because most people don't realize that you have a lengthy vehicle, so you kind of want to know how far you are. So if you park 20 feet from the vehicle, how much do you have left? 130 feet before your butt's sticking out in the highway. So it's kind of interesting to know that you want to know how far you have when you pull up to the railroad tracks, how far it is before you're sticking out into the highway. And it is good to know those numbers so that when you're out there, if you're 88 feet and you're 30 feet from there, you're pretty close to sticking your butt out in the highway. So you got to kind of need to know that.
And never do you want to make up for that space by being on the track.
No, you don't. In fact, you may not position yourself if you don't have the room. If there's a couple of cars in front, you may not want to position yourself in a dangerous situation by moving into that if you know that you're going to be sticking out into the highway.
So the signs that you see, how close to the track are they? Are you already committed when you see that sign?
It's usually right there when you're turning in off of the highway.
Gotcha.
So that you can know instantly. So if there's cars there, you can say, whoa, maybe I'll just wait right here, or I'll position myself or go to the next intersection.
All right. So much you learn here on BCB Live. So much that we all learn, and a lot of it comes from Drive Safe Dave, the prayerful Drive Safe Dave. We'll get back to you in 60 seconds on BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. Here, host of BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. If you don't already know about Freight Review, it's a segment I cover once a week where I analyze freight rejections, freight tenders, driver productivity, and much, much more. You can watch Freight Review on LinkedIn, Facebook, or YouTube. So what are you waiting for? Subscribe today and follow BCB Live. Welcome back to BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. Drive safe as we move into that holiday week. We know that the chaos becomes more and more and more real, and we want to make sure that you know that you've got to slow it down. I mean, it's critical during this period that you do slow it down, that you communicate more with your driver, manager, dispatcher, your safety, somebody up there. And listen, if you're sitting inside that dispatch office operations, you can do the same thing back to them. If you feel like you just, maybe you haven't heard, maybe they don't sound right, you're going to have to pick up the phone and call them. I'm going to encourage you during these times, don't send a message. Pick the phone up and call them and check on them and say, hey, how are you feeling?
What's going on? All right, what's going on? Hey, and not only that, you can, you know what, when something's not right, because a lot of the drivers do call, right? And a lot of them do communicate. And if they're out of their pattern, if they're doing something that's not similar to what they normally do, like if they normally do call you all the time and now they're just sending cryptic messages that doesn't seem right, That's what you want to key in on.
Yeah.
Or if they normally send in messages and now they're calling and they seem to hang out or give a pause on the phone, ask them what's going on. Get involved, because what we want to look for is a difference in pattern, right? You know your drivers and you know them better than anybody else out there. Find out, look at, and understand that these are changing times. When you talk about the holidays, Sir Rick, you got a lot going in on the psychology of the driver, right? I mean, and or anybody out there. This is a hard, difficult time with family, right? Being away from family during the holiday seasons. And a lot of people during this time have encountered loss in their life. And this is when you're bringing up the holiday spirit and the family spirit, you tend to think back of those that you lost or those that you missed during those times. And that can be hard too, and add to the stress, which can add to the exhaustion, because that's what we're really talking about, being exhausted by being overthinking or thinking about some of the things you got going on in your lives. And I encourage anybody and everybody out there that if you have a moment or if you want to, just open up, just talk. Talk with another driver, talk with another driver in a truck stop, talk with your dispatcher, talk with somebody if you're feeling a certain way, or it's okay. It's okay to say, hey, you know what? I don't feel right, or today I'm tired, or what have you. You just got to be able to open up and share. And you know what? You're not too big, you're not too proud, and you're not too good to say something's wrong. Yeah. I mean, that's the hard part. Isn't that the hardest part to say, I just don't feel right or something's wrong today?
And if you're out there and you're sitting behind the scenes, right, as a dispatcher, customer service, one of the folks that aren't driving that truck, just be mindful that home time becomes even more critical during this period. And even planning out a little bit further. You may take it out 2 or 3 days today. Take it out 4 or 5. Give that driver the opportunity to really plan their day for 4 or 5, 6 days out right now, because it's going to give them an idea of will they get home, or what they need to do to get home for that holiday. If you're a driver as well, ask for that extra day. Hey, can you give me what I'm going to do for the next 7 days?
Yeah, and Rick, you bring up a great point. You know what? If you're the dispatcher or the driver manager or somebody in operations, hey, now's the time to ask what the holiday is going to be like for the driver. Go now and ask them. Be involved in what they're doing in their lives. If you're asking them now what they want to do for Christmas or at that break, or what their intentions are, and then y'all get it in the system, or get it in the notation, or whatever it is that you normally do for the driver. Know now, because that way the driver knows that you know early, and that there's no surprise, because things happen. Drivers get busy. They're on a different schedule than you. Sometimes and then they wait till a later time to figure out what's going on. Try to get involved in what they're doing now, right? Say, hey, when are you planning on being home, right? Christmas is on a Saturday this year, and we are running all the way up to that point, but find out what the schedule is, right?
Yeah, so that's it. So what you just said, Christmas is on a Saturday. And that means, as a driver, as a dispatcher, as a planner, is that you have the opportunity really to possibly run them stronger over the weekend. And you have only one weekend left, right? We got 2 weekends or 1 weekend before Christmas?
2 weekends.
2 weekends before Christmas. I can tell you this, if you get them on the phone, you put your plan out together, most of them are going to want to run, especially because they're going to be home Friday, maybe even Thursday before that holiday. And like it or not a lot of people are open. So if you're the weekend runner, I'll run all weekend on Christmas. Hey, guess what? The world shuts down.
Right.
Nobody's open. Nobody will be open until Monday.
Right.
So you have to do it today. Plan yourself out 7 days today. Drive Safe Dave, there's 70 hours they can drive in a week.
Absolutely.
And that's a lot. 10 hours a day is a lot. And if you take 10 hours every day, guess what you never run out of, Dave? Hours.
It's really hard, though, to manage that, because you've got to be careful, because it's hours worked. It's not just hours drive.
Yep.
And so you got to be how you manage it and what you do every single day and how you manage your clock. You got to be really stingy about how you use your clock all the time. Look at how you use it. Understand what it means. Don't stay. Make sure that you reach over and you get yourself off the clock. Do it like you drive it. And I'll tell you, that's really what matters. If you do it like you drive it, if you're not moving the truck, if you're parked, if you're doing that, get off the clock. If you're not driving the tractor, get off the clock. Find a way and be stingy with those hours, because those are the hours by which you make money.
What we don't want to be stingy on is that phrase that pays. And Drive Safe Dave, It's a dandy of a phrase that pays.
It's a little tricky
Provided by our own Buckle Up Bob. Drive safe, give it to us.
Take a tip from Little Saint Nick. Never ever make a lane change quick.
One more time.
Take a tip from Little Saint Nick. Never ever take a lane change quick.
You know what? Normally we don't do it 3 times, but we're going to do it
Take a
one more
tip
time.
from Little Saint Nick. Never ever make a lane change quick.
There you have it on BCB Live, the safest station in the nation.
Watching BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. BCB Live covers freight. Here we are now, 21% of record freight being rejected. News down in Texas. We're going to talk a little bit about this. We had another $1.5 million seizure. If ever there's a time to do a pre or post trip, it's if you're doing something wrong.
Weather, traffic.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to some traffic and weather with Buckle Up Bob. You kind of see where the visibility can be compromised a little bit. Again, right where that rain is.
And most importantly, safety. One of the things that we must do is make sure that safety is the number one thing that we focus on.
Going into an intersection, yellow is not the way. That's to clear an intersection, not to enter an intersection.
Tune in weekdays from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. Central Standard Time. You can watch BCB Live through LinkedIn, YouTube, or Facebook. So what are you waiting for? Subscribe today and follow BCB Live.
Hey, welcome to Terrible Tuesday. It's Buckle Up Bob, and we're going to start you off with some traffic. We had some issues on 30. It was a stalled vehicle, so again, no accidents that were reported this morning, but it is a stalled vehicle on the eastbound lane heading to Dallas, so you may see a backup there. And we have a lot of construction on the 635 and 35E. So again, no accidents were reported this morning. So as you come into commute, you're going to have your typical 10 to 15-minute delays, spotty all the way around. 45 coming up from the south, going into the DFW to the 20 loop there. You can see a little bit of a slowdown, but overall, just a typical run-of-the-mill traffic, rush hour traffic this morning in the DFW area. So just be patient, keep your spacing, and everything should work out fine for you this morning. As we go to Kansas City, again, the loop looks pretty good, but we do have a couple spots in that 5 to 10-minute range. Lee Summit down here on 50, you've got a little bit of an issue coming up from the eastern side, heading west. And then again, up here by Avondale, we got a little bit of a congestion there at a merge point as well. But otherwise, really nothing going on in the Kansas City area this morning as far as traffic. We get to Chicago. Chicago looks pretty good on the loop, but for the first time in a long time, we have some issues coming from Illinois heading into Indiana. So the eastbound lane on this 8094 as you start here at Homewood all the way to Highland, Indiana. So you're going to have some issues there. Expect a good 15 to 20-minute delay. And then we've got 55 at Oak Lawn. You've got a little bit of a delay there. But the rest of the loop around Chicago looks really good this morning. 88, 90 up north, 80 coming down, and 55 at Bolingbrook, which has been a hot spot at times, is looking really good this morning as well in the Chicago area. So as we go to Atlanta, not as good as it was yesterday, folks, and that's typical, but the southern part of the loop looks really good, and that's typically your best option. If you have a way and the time, your best option is to head to the southern part of the loop, not the northern part. You can see why. Got a lot of red here on the eastern side, always up here in the Sandy Springs area, both directions. And then, again, the northbound direction on the western side of Atlanta looks a little bit of congestion here. And then we also have 20 coming in from the west heading eastbound. As you approach that 285 loop ramps, you're going to have a backup there of a good 15 to 20 minutes as well. So, again, Atlanta, pack your patience, keep your spacing, slow down, and just be patient, right? It is what it is. Atlanta's always busy, so just be careful as you go into the Atlanta area this morning. Philadelphia, wow, a little bit worse this morning. Again, we got problems coming down 95 southbound along the river. Looks like we're going to have some really slow down there. It's a long one, so you're looking at a good 20 to 25-minute backup. The turnpike coming in is congested this morning, in and out, as well as 476 loop around the Metroplex there at Philadelphia as well. Also, some slowdowns down here by the airport. I know flying into that airport over the years, that always seems to be under construction in that area. So be mindful if you're approaching the Philadelphia airport this morning. Slow it down, increase your space. On the New Jersey side, just some stop and go traffic areas. You shouldn't have too much of a problem heading into the New Jersey area, coming in there from that side on Philadelphia. As we get into Nashville again, looks like Tuesday's a bad day today. We've got the 24 typical northbound coming from the south, all the way from Walnut Ridge, all the way up here to Beverly Heights. We also have coming in on the westbound side of 40 as you come into the 155 loop, just north of the airport there. You are going to have a slowdown. Again, it looks like to be in that 15 to 20 minute range area. And then the 2465 merge point. But we also have some backup here on the southbound 31E. So if you're in the Nashville area, 31E, if that's one of your routes, you might want to avoid it because almost the entire thing is backed up all the way up here to Inglewood and Hart Lane. So be mindful if you're in that Nashville area. 40 coming in from the west looks really good this morning, though, in the Nashville area. Baltimore, again, typical rush hour traffic. We've got the northern part, which is always a problem. Parkville, both directions. Pikesville and Lockern, that's going to be the southbound directions. Have about a 15 to 20 minute delay, if you will, moving in there. Also, the thoroughfares connecting 95, 295, we have some issues. 95 heading north to Baltimore. We've got some backups here for about a 15 to 20 minute delay. And then again, South Laurel, both directions. Looks like there's an accident. The northbound lane is dark maroon, so probably an accident there. And then red coming from the southbound lane. So 295 you may want to avoid this morning for the next hour or so till that lightens up. We've got 270 coming down into the Washington, D.C. area is backed up, as well as almost the entire loop around the D.C. area this morning. You're going to have some major delays. You can see here, only one little section here is coming in on 66 where there doesn't seem to be any problem on the loop, but as you come to the merge point, there is about a 10-minute backup, if you will. So DC area, it's kind of a normal commute, but there seems to be more backed up areas. So again, Alexandria, Annandale, always an issue. And then we've got a little problem out here on 66 by Gainesville, entering into Sudley. But again, the rest of the way, it's just the eastern side of the loop from Silver Spring all the way down here to Westphalia. You're going to have some backups. So again, if you're in the Washington, D.C. area, please slow it down. Get it down to a speed that you can stop and stay in your lane. Avoid the lane changes in these accidents and increase your space and be patient, right? Pack your patience. As we go to the Indianapolis, yesterday was clear, not so much today. The southern part has a problem on the 74. This appears to be the westbound direction on 74 South Loop. And then coming out of Indianapolis, 65, going up into Indianapolis, the northbound lane, there's a problem here once you get inside the loop. The rest of the loop looks pretty good. 70, not too bad. You got just a little bit right here at the downtown area where you might see a 5 to 10 minute delay. Again, nothing out of the ordinary, so you should have a pretty smooth sailing as you go into the Indianapolis area. As we go into our weather, again, the winds died down. They're coming back, folks. It'll be tomorrow, but the winds are going to come back. Our current radar just really shows nothing. As you can see, not much going on in the way of precipitation. A little bit of rain out here in, from Los Angeles to Las Vegas. But the rest, a little bit up here in Utica, but not just some scattered showers here or there. Our wind gusts, excuse me, as we go through our day, you can kind of see they start to pick up in Wyoming, just west and north of Denver. And then again, you might see some small pockets. They're looking at the 18 kind of miles per hour range down in Albuquerque. but the big one's going to be tomorrow. And there you can start seeing the northwest, Wyoming starts to kick up. And then as we get into Thursday, there you go. So you can start to see Albuquerque, Arizona is going to see some strong winds as well. The big thing is we've got some snow. There you go. Coming in late in the week, we're going to see some a pretty good storm potential here. It's going to come in from the northwest, but it's also going to hit the Reno area and mainly on, let's see, there we go. So coming in late Wednesday as we kind of slide this slowly, there it is, early Thursday morning, again with temperatures down. You can see all Nevada, Reno as we go through, and then this is going to move into the Nebraska, right? This is Friday at 3 a.m. Denver, almost, you're going to start getting hit really good there on Friday. You can see at 10 a.m. And we'll kind of do the new snow. It kind of tells us the forecast. This is the next 5 days. We tap on there, we get 22 inches in the upper elevations. Okay, this is not going to be down on the highway as much, but it's going to be mainly up in the mountain areas. You can see that right there in the Rockies. The next 3, we're looking at 14 inches there, but you can see it just kind of stays out of Denver. But here's the one I was looking at too this morning. There, over the next 10 days, right, you are going to see Reno, 24 and a potential inches there. These are all forecasted amounts, right? Salt Lake City could see up in a foot of snow in the next 10 days. Again, this is not going to happen all at once, but they're going to continually get hit with small system after small system. Could be an issue out here, as you can see, anywhere west of Denver and north of Flagstaff. So you want to be ready for that as you go through your work week. You know, so again, we're going to be looking, this is Friday the 10th. So in the next, we get about one day today of some mild weather. Then tomorrow the winds start kicking up. And then Thursday, Friday, early Thursday morning, we should start seeing some snow out there in the west. So be ready, plan for it, plan to be slowed down, right? Plan to stop if needed. Remember, Colorado, west of the Denver area on the mountain passes on 70, chains are required to be in the truck, not on. Now, the rest of the state can mandatory put that in if the systems are such that they warrant it. So you got to be paying attention to the signs. And remember, drivers out there, it's probably not a good idea for you to drive if you have to put the chains on, right? Conditions are so bad, it's not worth it. It's not worth your life or the life of others. Get with your company and see what their rules are and what you can do. But again, protect your life out there and protect the life of others. These mountain hills and passes aren't worth it. So we just got to kind of watch it. Again, it's not supposed to be a major storm, but it could be the type to where Colorado puts a statewide requirement of carrying the chains with you. They also passed a law a couple years ago where four-wheelers are required to carry chains as well. So again, they are trying to increase their safety there. So let's just be ready for that as we move in, and we'll of course have more updates on BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. We'll take a quick break and be right back with some safety.
Welcome back to BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. Buckle up, Bob. Good, decent weather
Today. Then starting early Thursday morning, that ugly white stuff, that four-letter word, Sir Rick, is coming in.
And I don't know if you listened to the earlier part, but we had the bad weather up in Minnesota. So when we send out, or some of the warnings on the snow, on the ice, on the wind, we really want you to pay attention, because what we encourage you and companies listen to it is try to go out there and follow our guides, right? I mean, we're going to put some restrictions out there for you to see to perhaps implement in your fleet so we don't send drivers where they don't need to go. And an example of that, buckle up, Bob, if it's icing in Kansas, a lot of snow in Kansas, we want to stop them before they get to Kansas,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, you know, one of the things that it's the double-edged sword, but we'll get lots of calls because we will set that thing up 70 to 100 miles outside the danger area so that you have plenty of opportunity to pull over, maybe get the local weather report and see what's going on for yourself, and then you have plenty of opportunities to stop.
And not only that, but you set your driver up for more success because if you wait until they get into the danger zone, already the truck stops are full. Already the areas are overpacked because everybody's trying to find a safe haven. And if you give them one before they get into that environment, you set them up for a little bit easier time and a little bit better time and not a stressful time.
Yeah, and one of the examples we also use is, and just as a reminder, everybody, in Colorado, you are required to have chains if you go on 70 into the passes. However, Colorado, if they get a big enough storm, they can make that statewide. So you've got to pay attention to the signs because it can change. Denver and East, they don't require you to have them on the truck. But if a storm comes in, they do and can require you to carry them. And if they ever require you to put them on, we just don't have our drivers drive, right? It's just the situation is so dangerous. If you got to put chains on, it's probably too much of a life threat that you don't need to be driving in that. So again, get with your company, urge you to get with your companies. And remember, socks are acceptable devices in place of the chains when you carry them on the truck, and they're a little bit lighter too.
They're a whole lot lighter. They're about 85 pounds lighter than a set of chains. Those socks only weigh about 5 pounds apiece. So it makes a big difference. The only bad thing about socks is they're not durable to last over multiple uses. So they can become very expensive. But if you're just trying to make sure that you
They don't become expensive if you never use them.
Yeah, they don't become expensive. You know, another recommendation is that I've always followed is it's not a good idea to chain up to go into a bad environment. You don't ever want to get into a difficult situation. Those really are designed to get you out of bad situations, not to plow into them. So, you know, and a lot of different companies have different mindsets, and a lot of drivers have a different ideology on how it's being used, especially over time. But I'm telling you, for personally, I've always had the mindset that that equipment was designed to get you out of those problem areas.
Yes. All right. And hey, we've been talking this week about lane changes, right? It is probably one of the most common accidents out there. While the statistics show they're not fatal, which just blows me away because I would think they are. But statistically, no. But still, they are very high in injuries, right? And medical lawsuits. So again, one of the things, which is kind of common sense, and I just want to maybe take time to explain it a little bit, but one of their best advice is don't make one, right? But here, we know that you got to make them at times. But the thing we want to ask you, why? Why are you making it? And most of the times, the lane change accidents, it always comes back to impatience, right? Driver was going too slow, and they just got in a hurry to get around them. It's okay to pass those people. We're not saying never make a lane change, but you want to be mindful of it and not make them frequently. You know, it's just like the odds, right? The more lane changes you make, the odds of you having an accident go way up. And so you want to avoid them. And it really comes down to patience in a lot of cases. Now, sometimes you do need to move over because there's a merge point coming up, and you are creating a safer environment for that merge. But make sure that you do it slowly and patiently, not the quick one. Again, we're not saying never make a lane change. Just try to avoid the unnecessary ones, right? If you could just be a little bit more patient. In other words, if your exit's coming up in 2 miles, just sit there, right? There's no reason to risk an accident for 2 miles when you're going to be off of that highway or interstate as well. So again, don't make one. If you can avoid them, don't make them. Ask yourself why. We talk all the time about asking yourself these questions. Ask yourself why, and if the answer isn't a safe one, like merging or you've got a left exit up there, then maybe stay right where you're at. Hey, we got some videos that are going to show some really unbelievable things here again. Watch this truck in front. You know, passes these 2-lane highways, and then they're going to pass in a no passing zone and a left turn lane. This car hauler just not, and you can see it pretty far away as well. So this wasn't going to be a quick pass. So it's just, you got to sit there. One of the statistics that I've discovered in that is the most fatal accidents happen right here on these rural highways, not the interstate as you might think, where the volume is. it's here because, and what we've seen in these videos on these 2-lane highways is the more risks seem to be taken out here because you just don't think nobody's out there. And so it's just a dangerous situation.
Yeah, now, we encourage you as a driver to get in the left lane pretty early, but we're not talking this kind, right? We're usually talking going up the highway. This is a 2-lane road in which you're in that left lane fairly early, real early, and you're just breaking the law this whole way down, and you just have to have some patience and maybe drive safe, Dave. They're just going out there just looking for traffic. Is there a car coming out? Am I ready to pass later on? You know, I don't know what's in their mindset. We just want to make sure that, you know what, we have patience. We're doing the safest things out there.
Yeah, great job by this driver staying back from all
Yeah,
this.
you know, the whole reason this is a no passing zone is because there's an intersection up here that has had difficulty before in trying to create this intersection change, and you don't want somebody over here in the left lane. This looks like he's actually turning over to go left, but he's not. He's trying to pass. It makes it really dangerous. And these 2-lane roads out here, the reason they're so dangerous is the opportunity or the chance of a head-on collision is greater in these situations than in other situations, which is the most deadly collision that you can have, and that's the head-on collision. And that's the reason these 2 lanes, you have to be on your A game when you're out there all the time running on these 2-lane roads, because that's when people make a simple mistake. You know, if you have a small drift in the lane, even coming from the opposite direction, it can wreak havoc to you and if you're not paying attention to what's going on out there.
Next one again, tailgating, right? We've talked about it. You know, you've got to back off here. You have no picture. You cannot see, and then watch what happens. Able to stop, see the road, so good job there. But again, back off. Give yourself, we talk all the time, 1 to 2 seconds makes all the difference in the world. And again, right here, that shows, you know, because they started to move to the right, which, again, you know, that was a last-minute thing because they didn't think they could stop. And you've got to know that you can stop.
And you know you're too close because you get to 1,001, 1,000, and that's it.
Yes.
You know, that's all you're getting to, maybe the 1,000 mark, and you've got to be able to get 4 of those in. You know, and even if you got 3 in, you have twice as much space. You're too close. You have no idea on what's going on in front of this vehicle. You're driving behind what Drive Safe says is a billboard. You have no idea of the traffic ahead of this truck. You're too close.
You're too close.
And if you can't stop in time, again, that tells you you're too close. You've got to reduce your speed.
And again, you're going to see the same situation here. Slower speed, which is great. But again, a lot of things, you know, it was tailgating, and then the quick lane change, right? Here, you've got this vehicle, and then they stop. Hey, be patient, right? We're going to talk a little bit about this later on in the week with some stats and what to do when you're making a lane change. But again, starts to make it right as soon as this truck passes, and kind of even before a little bit there, you're already starting to get close to the crowd in that line, maybe even on it. Hey, just be patient, right? Looks like an exit here that we had to get to, right? Plan, know where these exits. The signs are well back there that, you know, this exit's coming up in a mile or so. Get over then.
So see, this truck's, he's merging on and what have you, but he can't see around this truck.
No.
Right? So he's going to try to merge on. He can't see around to look and find out if this lane's clear. We're coming out. We're leaving the lane, but I can't see because the truck's in the way. Is it clear? Is it clear? Now he sees that it's clear, so he's going to go up and pull in. It makes it difficult. You got to understand what the other driver's going through too, not only in your change lane, but make sure that you let him in. If you would have let him in early, then you could have moved over.
All right, this next one, great job here. Speed and space, talk about it all the time, right? As I've done some things, space is the most critical thing, and you control that with your speed. 22 miles an hour, look at this space. I mean, there is just, this driver will be able to react to just about anything that could happen to him down on the roadway. So great job by this driver, really showing the epitome of what we talk about when we say manage that space in front of you.
Yep, 5 seconds, the difference.
Great job there. This next one, see if you can spot the not obvious drive safe, Dave. You know, the obvious is that truck never stopped at a 4-way stop. You got a flashing red light, all 4-way stop all the way around, right? And that truck coming on, man, intersections again, so dangerous. It just keeps running right through it. boy, when I first watched the video, I thought it was going to roll over. It seemed like it leaned a little bit there, drive safe to me on the front.
I'm not sure that the video of the came from stopped either.
Huh?
I'm not sure that the truck that the video came from stopped.
That was the not obvious. Thank you, sir, Rick. Yes, it was a rolling stop, folks. You got to come to, you just saw somebody run, and yet you don't come to that complete stop.
In fact, the only vehicle that came to a complete stop was the four-wheeler, which is embarrassing.
It is. 2 trucks. Good point. That's what I was hoping to see. Yes, producer.
Yeah, we got David Mason on the line. What do you got for us, sir?
I'm just going to come to the little bit of the defense of the driver that made the lane change to the right. I know Bob said you plan early, and most of the time you can. But if you watch right there, that looks like maybe a clover leaf where they had a solid white line, and he started to change as soon as he could. Right there is a solid white line, so he couldn't get over any earlier. And then he needs off at the next one. It's one of those short clover leaf where the one on-ramp is coming and then your off-ramp is just right there, because then he has another solid white line at the end of the video. So it's just a really short ramp to get over there and go off.
Terrific
so he had
point.
his speed down. He had his speed down so that he could, as those traffic, as the cars are coming, sometimes you just got to ease over there, and his speed was slow enough that he could stop when that truck stopped. And so he just was doing the best he could with that really short distance.
Appreciate that feedback, David.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Mason. Anybody else have any questions, comments? Raise your hand, type it out. We can do many different ways to communicate here on BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. Drive Safe, any of them other videos that caught your eye. I mean, I think one thing for certain is we saw the, that 2-lane highway. Those are, and I also think that if you're driving in your personal car, you're in another truck, you also have to be aware that could be happening up ahead of you, and you've got to look out for that as well.
Absolutely, and it was that on 287.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, that's that you encountered. It looks like 287 running out there, and you're going to encounter this all the way. You're going to have these situations if you're running that highway. You got to be aware. Not only when I see this, what's going on in our direction, but this occurs in the opposite direction a great deal. You got to be mindful of what's coming up and pay attention, because they'll jump out there coming the other way doing the exact same thing in these situations.
And that's a great point. I don't think we go a week without seeing something on 287 heading up into Colorado.
Yeah, it's a frustrating it's a frustrating lane, especially when you get caught slow in traffic and you get behind, or somebody becomes impatient. I think that's really the frustration, is when somebody becomes impatient and they make these choices right here.
We got somebody, producer?
Yeah, Alan Arnold, what do you got for us today, sir?
What's going on, Mr. Allen?
Hey, good morning, Mr. Rick, Mr. Dave, Mr. Bob. I just want to let you know, I-45 here, northbound, just south of 20. Trailer went off the on exit ramp. Tractor stayed on 20 or on 45 north. So there's a really big backup. And I'm saying that because it's cold, so we need to watch that grease with the jaws. All right? And just glad to be back. Thank you for having me back.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Allen. Good to hear from you. Drive safe, Dave. Let's close this out with a prayer, sir.
Dear Heavenly Father, we gather before you today to ask for your grace in all things. Father, we ask that you give us the power, the encouragement to go forth and do right by you and do your will upon the world as you see it. Father, also give us the ability to be safer today. Give us the ability to go out and do our job in a better way than we've ever done it before, by being not only encouraging to ourselves, but those around us by doing what is right. Father, we ask that you protect us, watch over us, and keep us safe in these moments. Give us what you can to make it better for us today. Also, Father, we also ask that we be a blessing upon somebody else today by not only doing right by ourselves, but right by others. Father, we ask all of these things in your name. Amen.
All right. We love to have our listeners back on the show. Boy, it's a blessing to us. A big shout out to you as well, Larry. Our prayers are with you for a strong recovery. We know you can make this happen. We'll see you this afternoon, 2 o'clock. BCB Live, the safest station in the nation.